Hey guys, my name's Kylie and this is my first vlog. So I decided to start vlogging because lately a lot of people have been telling me that it could be the next step in my career in entertainment, and I kind of agree because having a YouTube channel kind of lets you express yourself as an artist, and there's a lot that I have to say and a lot of cool things that I get to do, so I thought I'd share it with you guys. A little info about me. I am a commercial model. I do a little bit of commercial acting, and I also work in electronic music as a music journalist and editor. So that's kind of me as a person, but now I am hoping to start becoming a YouTube blogger, and hopefully you guys can help me out with that. So my topic today is going to be about moving to New York. So I've been living in New York for about a year, and basically I moved here initially because I signed a 3-year contract with Model Management Group New York, which is a really great agency here in the city. They do a bunch of commercial work with brands like L'Oreal and Sephora. And so when I signed my contract with them, it was my first time walking in New York Fashion Week, and I was still living in Orlando, but they said in order to work with us, you're going to need to move to New York City. And I've been wanting to live here since I was 11 years old, so it wasn't that hard of a decision for me to make. And yeah, so I made the move exactly a year and I think 2 months ago. So basically I'm going to tell you about why you should want to live in New York, and if you already want to live here, what moves you should make and how you should get your journey started. In addition to wanting to be a commercial model, I also knew that eventually I wanted to one day work in the electronic music industry, and so I knew that to make both of those dreams come true, there's no better place than New York City. And honestly, I think if anyone wants to make a big step in their career, take it to the next level, there's no better place in this country, maybe LA, but for the East Coast, New York kind of gets it done. I mean, you meet the right people, there's always opportunities here, and I have absolutely loved every second that I've been here in the past year and a few months. So I hope all of you guys find this video helpful. I'm going to start with getting a job in the city. So basically, most people think that it is the best idea to have a job in the city before you move here so that you have set money, because it is very expensive to live here. And that's very true, so you should definitely look for a job, pursue getting a job right off the bat. But one thing that is a little bit difficult is that most jobs here will not hire if you have an out-of-state address on your resume. So that's one problem that many people encounter. They are wondering why they're not getting calls back from jobs that they've applied to, or they're not getting an interview or a second, some form of reply. And it's because if you don't have an address in New York, a lot of employers will not hire because they don't know what your plans are. They don't know if you're planning on moving here or if you're even able to move here at this time. If you're just applying for fun, to schedule an interview for an out-of-state employee would be very difficult. So that's one problem that many people encounter when they are trying to find a job here, is that they'll apply, and like I was applying from a Florida address, and it's really hard. So when I first moved here, I decided to get a serving job to kind of help pay my rent in addition to my modeling and music stuff. So I applied online to work at the Palm restaurant on 2nd Ave. It's in Midtown, and luckily I was able to get a response back, but I applied to several other restaurants and no one really got back to me because I have a Florida address, so it's kind of difficult. So fortunately enough, the Palm gave me a chance and I got to go in for an interview, but I went on an interview after I had already moved here. So I kind of moved here, and the first day that I was here, I got a job. So I was very lucky, but I kind of made the move regardless of knowing if I had a set job or not, and to be honest, that might be the best decision. Something I would suggest is getting an Airbnb or staying with a friend for a few weeks while job hunting. and that way you can tell them, you know, right now I'm staying in this neighborhood. I don't have a set address here yet, but I'm here for a few weeks looking for a job. I'd be available for an interview in that time. And that way you show the initiative, like you're already here in the city, you're not just applying from home, and you have your resume and you have sort of a New York address, and then from there go out and get your interviews done. And then my second point is going to be picking a neighborhood. New York is composed of thousands of different neighborhoods in 5 different boroughs. So the boroughs are Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, the Bronx, and Staten Island. So when you choose to move to New York City, you typically are going to have to pick one borough, and then from there you're going to have to pick your neighborhood. So if you're not from the area and you don't know much, I would definitely spend some time researching the boroughs and kind of which neighborhoods would fit towards you. So I live in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. I actually live in East Williamsburg, which is the neighborhood between Williamsburg and Bushwick. My neighborhood is fantastic. It's very young. Everyone is about in their 20s and 30s. Everyone is kind of a creative sort of young type in this neighborhood. Williamsburg is technically known as like a hipster neighborhood, but towards East Williamsburg and Bushwick, there's a lot of creatives and young people who are here trying to make a name for themselves as well. So it's really fun. I've lived in this neighborhood for pretty much the whole time that I've been here, and I made a lot of friends, and I have all my set things. Like I have my favorite grocery store, my favorite bar. If you're young and are first time moving to New York and don't really know what neighborhood to pick, I personally love Brooklyn. All the boroughs kind of have like a competitive nature, so flying here. Definitely check out Brooklyn, check out Williamsburg. It's such a nice neighborhood. It's right on the water, so if you're like at the bars or restaurants that are on the edge, you can see right into Manhattan. There's a beautiful skyline. It's just a great neighborhood. I'm definitely a little biased, so don't only check out Williamsburg if you're planning on moving here, but it is such a great area, and all the apartments are really spacious, whereas in Manhattan you could have a super small apartment for the same price that you'd be paying here. So definitely check it out. But living in Manhattan has always been a dream of mine too, so one day I hope to live there, maybe in a neighborhood like Soho, which is my dream neighborhood. It's so beautiful. The streets are cobblestone. It's really nice. But in the meantime, I am more than happy with East Williamsburg. So definitely check it out if you're planning on picking a neighborhood. Queens has really great areas as well. Queens, I have some friends that live in Astoria, which is pretty much the equivalent of Williamsburg for Queens, so that's a really nice area too. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about finding an apartment. So when I first moved here, I had absolutely no idea how to find an apartment. I came with my family and I rented an Airbnb in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, which is on the southern part of Brooklyn, and I stayed there for 3 weeks. And while I was there, I looked for apartments, but I really didn't even know what to look for, because coming from Florida, I had no idea what the appropriate neighborhood would be for me. And so my family and I would just I kind of knew I wanted to live in Williamsburg because I do have some friends from college that lived here before me. So we came here and to Williamsburg, and my family and I just kind of walked around one day and found a realtor, and so we walked in and they kind of helped us out. But now that I've lived here for a year, I don't really think that I'll ever need a realtor again, because now I know the neighborhoods, and there are also some really great apps and websites that you can use to skip that step. Because in New York, typically when you find a new apartment, you're going to have to pay the first month's rent, the last month's rent, and sometimes you'll have to pay a fee and a security deposit, which is a lot of money right off the bat for an apartment. So you kind of need to make sure you love your neighborhood and you know what you're doing. So that's why I used a realtor, because I knew that I had no idea what I was doing. So I used a realty company called Brick and Mortar, and they have an office here in Williamsburg, and so my realtor there helped us out. They found me an apartment that did not have a fee So I skipped the whole fee part of it, but I still had to pay security deposit with first and last month, which is a lot of money, and that's why it's kind of hard to move here because you need to have a lot saved before you come. I personally saved $10K before I moved here, which all of that is gone, by the way. But it's worth it because I love living here. So, but yeah, I would say either use a realtor or you could use some really great websites. So one really good one is StreetEasy, which is an app that you can get on your phone. The only problem with that is you kind of need to know your neighborhood or the area that you want to be in, but that way you can just look on StreetEasy and they have all their listings, they have price, whether there's a fee or no fee, and like move-in date. So that's all really good. Also, you can use Gypsy Housing, which is actually a Facebook page, and on that page you can find roommates and they put available apartments up there too. It's really good to try to avoid a fee because if you're paying, oh, by the way, this is Elena. Do you like our apartment? This is Elena. Oh, she's mad. But yeah, so Gypsy Housing on Facebook, it's a group that you can join. Also StreetEasy, and there's a website called Naked Apartments. Naked Apartments is really good. They have the listings, and then they also have realtors that are connected to the listing. So if you want to go see that apartment, the realtor will meet you there or take you there, and then you're not necessarily paying that realtor. It's really the building that is paying them to take you there. So that's another way to avoid a fee. Actually, two of my best friends, they're out looking for apartments right now because they have to move at the end of the month, and they used Naked Apartments, and the realtor picked them up in her car and drove them around to several different listings, and that way, you know, you can talk to them about it, but not having to like explicitly use a realtor or a company. You can do it all on your own with just a simple website, which is really nice. So Naked Apartments, StreetEasy, and Gypsy Housing on Facebook are all really good for finding that. Okay, so next I'm going to talk about finding a roommate. So when I initially was going to move here, I had plans with a friend from college to live with her, and about 3 weeks before I moved here, the plans fell through. So I was completely just at square A again, and I had no idea what to do. So last second, I convinced my very best friend, Charlotte, to move here with me, and so she came up. I was in the apartment, the Airbnb apartment, for 3 weeks, and then she came up and we signed our lease, and we've been in this apartment ever since. So I was very, very lucky with my roommate situation, but a lot of people move here by themselves and have no idea who to live with. There's a bug in my apartment and Elena is chasing it, and I hope she kills it. So yeah, I got super lucky with my roommate because I get to live with my best friend, and Charlotte and I lived together for 4 years in college and had minimal fights, and when we do fight, we fight like sisters, so it's not that big of a deal. But I would suggest several different ways to finding a roommate here in the city. The first I would say is look on Facebook to like see if you have any friends who know people in the area that are moving, or if they're moving themselves, or because I constantly know people who are moving. I mean, even after living here for a year, the people that I've met, I mean, people move constantly here. Like, the turnover rate for apartments is crazy. A lot of people do month-to-month apartments as well, which is another option that you could look into. It's cheaper that way, and if you're not like super in love with your neighborhood, then, or like your roommate situation or anything, it's a good way to protect yourself from problems, to just pay month to month. So you can look into that too. But for roommates, I would say check Facebook. So check the people that you know that live in the city, ask them, network, try to get someone that you might know first, and then if not, check some roommate websites. I believe there's one called like roomie.com, that's good. And then also on Facebook with like Gypsy Housing, you can find roommates that way. And then yeah, just like try to network. When I first moved here, I knew a good friend from college, so I immediately asked her, and she and I were gonna make it work, but it ended up not working. But it's fine because obviously my situation turned out But even if you have to live with a random, in that case I would try to say, you know, do a month-to-month situation and make sure that it works for you, instead of signing like a full year lease and then having a serious problem. So yeah, that's what I do for roommates. And then now for like settling in. So it's extremely expensive to live in New York in general, but we do get paid more here, which is nice. The only thing is that you need to be prepared for how much everything is going to cost. It's extremely different from home, at least for me, coming from Florida. Everything is way cheaper, and it kind of took me a long time to get used to it. I've kind of heard here that in order to save, you've got to be here for about 4 years in order to start saving, which is a little bit scary, but this place is also so rewarding, and I know that you'll love it if you choose to move here. You just have to be prepared for everything that comes with it. So just know that you need to have money saved, and when you move here, like so when we moved in, we decided to go ahead and furnish the apartment right off the bat. And actually the summer before I moved here, I went to Europe, so I spent a lot of money in Europe. And then I moved here and had to pay the first month's rent, last month's rent, security deposit. I got out of the fee, which is nice, but then I furnished this whole apartment. So, I mean, it was great because then we had a nice home to live in, but after that I was like seriously struggling. So you do need to prepare a budget for yourself when moving here, how much you think that you'll spend monthly and how much you think you need. And all of that will help you a lot. Also, moving here, if you don't know too many people, can be a little bit scary. So I would say just get involved with different things. There's so much going on constantly. I mean, it's like the busiest city in this country. So you can find anything that works for you here. There's so many different workout groups and you know, groups for different interests and like hobbies. And for me, like I'm so interested in electronic music, and there are literally 2 to 3 events a week here for that. So I get to go listen to my music every week. I've met so many friends through music here since I've been here. You know, branch out in your neighborhood, in your building, and just try to make yourself at home and make friends, because it does get cold here and it could get lonely, but luckily I've never really felt that way because I have gotten myself fully involved in the city and I am so in love with it, and I know you will be too if you choose to live here, which I think you should. This is a beautiful city with so many interesting parts. Every day I learn something new, and the best thing is just to know that I live here and then I get to explore it every day. If you have any comments or questions, please comment on my video and let me know if there's anything else you'd like to know about moving here. And also please subscribe to my channel. This is my first YouTube video ever, and I hope you really like it, and I can't wait to share more of my adventures with you. I'll be vlogging about music and New York and all the exciting things I get to do. So please subscribe, and I can't wait to show you guys more of my life. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you move to New York and be friends with me and explore the city and enjoy it for everything it is. Thank you for watching.